So thank you for that wonderful introduction. I am Jim Adams. I'm the Deputy Chief Technologist at NASA. And I'm disappointed I can't be with you today, but budget concerns back in Washington, D.C. demand that I stay here and speak to you through the magic of videotape. I think it's fitting, though, that we as engineers, as we encounter problems, we bring to bear all of the technologies that we have at our disposal to solve those problems. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. I was born in 1957, just before Sputnik launched and at the dawn of what we refer to now as the space age. In 55 years, the globe has seen some remarkable changes. For me, the most important has been the evolution of that space program. 44 years after Apollo 11, we still refer to that period of time as the space age. I did a quick Google search and found hundreds of current references to space age things, space age products, space age this, space age that. Today, space age is used to describe products that range from building tools to toys, from products that help us sleep better to products that help us look better. But in fact, there have been huge advances made in society today as a result of the space program. Well, what I wanted to talk about was that phrase, the space age. Why do we use it? Why do we call things space age? I think it's because it's how it makes us feel. It takes us back to the early days, to the 50s and the 60s, to a time we like to remember as a period of intense innovation and creativity. Frankly, that still resonates with people today. Even 40 years after the Apollo program, all of us use it to describe a feeling that wells up within us, a desire to bring back the times of innovation, creativity, and a can-do attitude. So when I look back, I think it started with two nations. It started with two. In the 1950s, the USSR and the United States were adversaries and clear competitors. Space was the realm of stories and dreams. That is, until.
Today, a new moon is in the sky, a 23-inch metal sphere placed in orbit by a Russian rocket. Here, an artist's conception of how the feat was accomplished. A three-stage rocket. Number one, the booster in the class of an intercontinental missile. Its weight estimated at 50 tons. The smaller second stage took over at 5,000 miles an hour and carried on to the highest point reached. 500 miles up, the artificial moon is boosted to a speed counterbalancing the pull of gravity and released. You are hearing the actual signals transmitted by the Earth-circling satellite. One of the great scientific feats of the age.
These were times of high global tension. Conflict and the threat of wars seemed to be prevalent. So each nation's space program emerged out of, if not a defensive concern, certainly a competitive posture. Historian John Logsdon has said, our movies and television programs in the 50s were full of the idea of going into space. What we never thought was that the USSR would launch the first satellite. So as the U.S. accelerated its response, we launched Explorer 1.
At Cape Canaveral, Florida, the Army's Jupiter-C rocket is ready for America's second attempt to launch a space satellite. No relation to the IRBM Jupiter, this is a rebuilt Redstone, a 200-mile missile carrying, instead of a warhead, 3 stages of solid-fuel booster rockets and the Explorer, a 6-foot bullet only inches across, crammed with electronic gear. 30 pounds of payload. This close-up of the United States edition of Sputnik was made at a press conference with leaders of the scientific teams, Dr. Werner von Braun, Dr. James Van Allen, and Dr. William Pickering. A three-way collaboration between private industry, academic science, and the military. Jupiter C stands poised on its launching pad. The hours-long countdown approaches zero, a moment of enormous tension, for every missile launching is still an experiment. Any one of tens of thousands of things can go wrong with catastrophic results. But all that can be done to assure perfection has been done. The moment is at hand. The countdown reaches zero. Some 3 minutes later, Explorer is in orbit, broadcasting to the world its coded scientific data. Cosmic ray intensity, meteor impact, solar radiation. These are the dry facts that will help carry man ever farther into the age of space.
That video reel was probably the first time the public got a sense of the space race. And frankly, I'm glad we don't use that phrase anymore. To me, it feels competitive and nationalistic in a malicious way without the sense of cooperation. Nonetheless, we progressed through the 60s and 70s, watching an amazing panoply of historical events unfold before us. That these events took place as a result of that race that we now today call the space age. The first weather satellite, Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, John Glenn, first person to orbit the Earth, the USSR landed Luna 9 on the moon, and the United States sent Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to step foot on it. And then Soyuz, the first space station. Pioneer entered the asteroid belt. Balloons floated in the atmosphere of Venus. The first geostationary communications satellite and the market that was to follow that. All, of course, were formed as a result of this space competition, this space age, and what we could get out of it. And then, of course, the space shuttle. From this amazing space plane, we could perform all manner of feats. We deployed deep space probes. We repaired satellites, both scientific and commercial. And as world tensions eased, we came together as a global community to build a permanent presence in space, the International Space Station. Along the way, things changed that cast a much wider net for participation. Technologies were invented, infrastructures were assembled, and industries created that allowed us to be much more inclusive. Now the nations of the world could become spacefarers and play a role in our expansion upward and outward. So the two had now become many. Many nations and companies now play a role in space exploration. Today, we, the global community, have ventured into space in amazing ways, from low Earth orbit to the moon and well beyond to Mercury and Saturn and asteroids and comets, and even to the edge of our solar system. We have fielded an amazing array of observatories that constantly help us unlock the secrets of our universe. And we've begun to explore in detail our closest cousin, Mars. Just getting there was a technological feat requiring massive cooperation in and of itself.
When people look at it, it looks crazy. That's a very natural thing. Sometimes when we look at it, it looks crazy. It is the result of reasoned engineering thought. But it still looks crazy. From the top of the atmosphere down to the surface, it takes us 7 minutes. It takes 14 minutes or so for the signal from the spacecraft to make it to Earth. That's how far Mars is away from us. So when we first get word that we've touched the top of the atmosphere, the vehicle has been alive or dead on the surface for at least 7 minutes.
I still get chills whenever I watch that video, and I was part of the team. It's an amazing feat that everybody accomplished to land on the surface of Mars. I hope you felt it the way I still do today. Each of our countries has mounted an impressive push that has consistently moved humanity's presence further out into space, both robotic and human. Our efforts have become so bold and the challenges so great that we no longer even contemplate going into space without cooperating with another nation or another partner.
15 nations. 1 International Space Station. Together is the future.
Can you imagine an international space station without the internationals? Just the phrase space station seems somehow small. The government-to-government and agency-to-agency partnership strategies have become the norm rather than unusual. And going further, government-to-private sector partnerships are emerging to allow commerce to do what it does so efficiently, and allow NASA, along with its partners, to push even deeper into space and broaden its vision.
Spacecraft currently in great shape as it heads towards its final docking point on the Earth-facing side of the Harmony module. Controllers reporting all thruster pods, everything working as expected as it's on its final approach. And there we have the Dragon in range of the space station cameras. You can see it.
In a day when communications around the globe occurs in milliseconds, and communities of friends rise up among diverse people who have not and likely never will meet physically, we are no longer the insular and threat-oriented globe that we once were. In fact, collaboration across many organizations and peoples is possible now, some that don't involve governments at all. And that spirit of collaboration breeds innovation and creativity. Amazing things are happening and being thought of simply because people can talk. And here's the shameless plug. Some of you are probably live tweeting my talk right now. Follow me at @NASAJim. So first there were 2, then there were many, and soon there will be everybody. Innovators around the world are experimenting with techniques like open source architectures, crowdsourcing, community involvement, prizes, and philanthropic endeavors, all focusing on space. Americans have always been citizen scientists. Thomas Edison didn't have a PhD, nor did Ben Franklin. And though you might think of NASA as a government agency, we are opening our doors to citizen scientists with good ideas, because space should be open to everybody. Social media has brought the diversity of the world together in profound ways for fresh and innovative purposes, and collaborating on space and space-related projects is one of them. The International Space Apps Challenge is a mass collaboration dedicated to solving global issues through an open source event that takes place over 48 hours around the globe. Prizes are a well-known way to spark innovation. The Ansari X Prize got the first private vehicle into space. And now NASA is working with several different companies to take cargo and eventually crew into space aboard commercial vehicles. There's been a lot of news about citizen explorers. Robert Bigelow is building an expandable habitat that NASA will test on the International Space Station. And Dennis Tito is working to launch a crewed mission to orbit Mars. These efforts are a testament to the audacity of the commercial aerospace industry and the adventuresome spirit of citizen explorers. Why, you might ask? Well, to start with, because it's fun. But more importantly, it's because it contributes to humanity in ways that sometimes we can't even imagine when we step out. And also because we as a species are driven to explore. It's written in our DNA. So check this out. This is a way that people are engaging the International Space Station in fresh and fun new ways. Did you know that today high schools can build their own satellites? Some of them are powered by cell phones. Did you know that volunteer astronomers, citizen scientists, discovered asteroid DA-14 that recently passed within 17,000 miles of Earth? And that Felix Baumgartner's Red Bull Stratos jump from 39 kilometers up was entirely privately funded? NASA didn't have anything to do with it. All of these things are paving a way toward a global spirit of community and involvement. Today, we stand on the verge of a new space age, a new age of innovation and creativity, one that brings together 50 years of technological advancement, social growth, and a desire to cooperate and collaborate. It is humanity's destiny to move off of planet Earth and constantly reach for new worlds. And it doesn't matter if you create science missions, invent new technologies, or play games. Every effort is a step towards the stars. Today, we understand our cosmic neighborhood, the solar system, in ways we never comprehended 55 years ago. We know now how to survive in space for 6 months at a time. We live and we work there consistently. We understand the evolution of our solar system in ways that lead us to believe there might be water nearly everywhere. And importantly, Earth might not be the only destination that harbors life. We have new insights into the sun, our source of life and energy, as well as one of our biggest threats as we move from the safety of our magnetosphere further out into our solar system. Recall, I said I was 55 years old. I'm a Sputnik baby. In 55 years, will this be the age of space that our grandchildren hearken back to? I think yes. But don't just take my word for it. Here's one fellow's message to our descendants from a time capsule to the people of 2117.
Dear citizens of 2117, if you are watching this video, you are preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime astronomical event. I'm hoping that by now you have saved our ozone layer and are accompanied by your friendly neighborhood polar bears as you settle into your hover chairs with your triple 3D superscopes and get ready to experience the transit of Venus. See, here in 2012, we just finished viewing a transit of Venus and have used the opportunity to make a time capsule for you. We took these pictures from around the world. We gathered in groups and looked to the skies. The coolest of us made hilarious cookies and cakes. A precious few of us watched it from outer space. But no matter where we watched it, it reminded us that ultimately we are a small family of beings floating on a tiny rock around one lovely star in a vast universe. And it makes us think about our hopes for the next 105 years. Hope this finds you well. Sincerely, Humanity.
In 55 years, we will have landed on Mars and be holding a permanent presence there. We'll be well on our way to understanding how to live somewhere other than our own cradle. In fact, I believe in the next 55 years, there will exist a generation of people born off Earth. What will they be like, and what will they call home? I'm not really sure. But to get there, we will need many nations, hundreds of agencies, thousands of companies, and myriads of people, all to hold the same vision, the vision to the stars. Along the way, as we mount seemingly insurmountable problems, our innovation and creativity will be brought to bear to solve many of the world's challenges in ways we haven't even thought of. In fact, we may not have even recognized the problems yet. So this week, as you all debate and consider and share the future of smallsats to observe the Earth, remember, you are all part of the long vision. You're contributing to the global movement out into space. By making space more accessible and fostering a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, you enable and fan the flames of our second space age. It's your space. It's a public space. Thanks for listening, and in 55 years, perhaps this presentation will be brought to you by the miracle of holographic projection as a technology as commonplace as video is today. But even more importantly, may we in 55 years be anticipating the dawn of the third space age and continuing our journey to the stars.